Hey, I'm Chef Gordon Rader, and today we're in the studio once again, and we're talking to Tommy Torres. He's a third-term student. He's from Washington, is that right?
Yes, Chef.
Now listen, we've been talking about tapas a lot because we're excited about working with Spain. You know, the past 2 years we've had the good fortune to go to Spain and compete in Valladolid in their international tapas competition. There's students from all over the world there, and it's always exciting to have some of our students in the arena with them. And also I want to mention that we've developed an articulation agreement with the school in Spain, in Valladolid, where we can have our international classes for 2 weeks in Spain, which actually trumps our 12 weeks here. So you can spend 12 weeks with me here on campus, or you can spend 2 weeks with me in Spain, and I think that's a much better deal. It's very intensive, very exciting. But Tommy, we talked about tapas a lot, and can you kind of give us an idea of what it is, what it means?
As Chef said, it originated in Spain. The main idea of a tapas is pretty much bar food. Anything that can be taken in one bite, or just what we would refer to as an appetizer, is really the basic idea of a tapas.
Mm-hmm. Tapas and pinchos, that's another thing. If it's on a skewer, it's called a pincho, because if you look at the title on some of our web work and we talk about the competition that we participated in, it says the concurso de tapas y pinchos. Y pinchos are obviously those things that are on a skewer. So it's a very interesting concept. Ideally, you know, we had an open wine glass at the bar and the flies were dropping. Okay, so they were going to try to figure out how to get rid of that problem. So they put a small lid or a tapa or a plate on top of the wine glass. We're talking about a long time ago before we got rid of the flies, right? So that's where it came from. So he's been given the task to work on a project, and you know, what were some of your ideas behind the process of this particular dish?
Originally I came to Chef with 3 ideas. Today we're going to work with one. This one actually came on the idea of sherry, originating in Spain and being widely used in that region. So on top of that, I also did a little bit of research, and the fruit of choice, I guess, that would go with sherry is either dates or figs. So to incorporate a little bit of our hometown Iowa-ness, I guess, I decided to go with a seared pork belly with a sherry fig sauce.
Okay.
And,
why don't you go ahead and get started and let's see the process.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got some pork belly here, and you're going to sear that first?
Yes, Chef.
Okay. Now, so it's interesting you noted that, you know, pork and figs and sherry. Sherry's called Jerez, J-E-R-E-C in Spain, and some of the finest sherries come from that area. And of course, I think I got the New Jersey sherry today at Hy-Vee. I didn't find the nice one. They didn't have it on tap, but you know, Hy-Vee does carry some great wines, especially South Hy-Vee. And we do a lot of business with them and look at some of our promotional things with our wine and food dinners. Fantastic folks. So I think really the trick here is to get a good hot pan and get a good sear. And there's a lot of fat. This is a very low calorie dish, obviously. That's why it's a small portion. Okay, what are the other ingredients that you have?
Right now I have a dry rub seasoning, and pretty much what it is thyme, pepper, oregano, and some red pepper flakes with just a bit of salt, because the pork's already going to be salty enough.
Okay. So that's going to go on the pork itself?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to put a little bit out on the pork. Okay, and then you've got figs, dried figs. You've got, is that sugar or salt?
It's sugar.
Okay.
A little bit of honey, and of course the sherry.
Okay. Very good. So it sounds good. Pork fat and honey, figs. And you could use fresh figs too, right?
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they'll be out soon. We've got dried figs right now, but so let's go ahead and see if we can't. There we go. Nice, a little sizzle. You know your pan's hot. We've talked about that before. When you're going to saute, make sure your pan's hot before you put the food in, and it's not going to stick. And you're also going to get some caramelization going on. So this is a pretty simple dish. I don't see a lot of ingredients.
It is pretty simple. I like to keep to the basic fundamentals of flavors, and sometimes people get a little too carried away with their seasonings and stuff, and it kind of takes away from just the origination of the dish.
Too many combinations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my mother-in-law's meatloaf. She had a lot of stuff in there. It was really interesting. We had it once a month, and that was once too much. But anyway, this is going to be a great dish. So, a little sear on both sides. Obviously, we got to cook pork through, right? So that's going to take roughly 4 to 5 minutes on each side.
Roughly. Since
Okay.
they're smaller portions, it shouldn't take too much long.
Okay. And then one of the ideas too behind tapas is, there's probably going to be various different tapas involved in the course of the night. And you go to Spain and there's a tapas bar in every corner, and they'll have a variety of things to eat, from seafood and pinchos on sticks. They have lamb's kidneys and chicken and grilled lamb and grilled beef and grilled pork and mariscos, shrimp, gambas they call them, shrimp. Very nice. Well, that's got some good color on it already. Okay. So at this point, you get the sear, you get a little cooked through, then you're going to add your onions, is that correct?
Yes, Chef.
Okay. So can you use red onions? I mean, you're using red onions. You can use any kind of onion you want.
Any kind, really. I just decided on the red just for a little bit of coloring.
Okay. Because people think a lot of times they see a recipe or they see something that we create and they think it has to be exact, but that's not the case. It's fun to experiment. If you want to use leeks, if you want to use green onion, red onion, if you want to use Vidalia, a nice sweet onion, you can use anything that you want. And again, some of the ingredients are interchangeable. If you don't like onions, you don't have to use it. What else could you use? I don't know. Think about it and bring that stuff to the experimentation of the kitchen. So the good sizzle. So you want to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. I think we can move on. 'Cause I know Anderson has got an important engagement this afternoon with the Pope, so we want to make sure that. Great. So again, when you get a sear on things, you're caramelizing sugars, and that's where you're going to get flavors. Sometimes people don't wait long enough or have their pan hot enough, and you get kind of a wimpy dish. High heat, quick cooking techniques are going to caramelize the sugar both in your meat and your onions. A lot of sugar in an onion. So I think that he's using a little bit of the fat from the pork to work as a...
Kind of waste not, want not.
Yep, that's good.
Using what I have.
Good. So that again adds more flavor. Fat equates with flavor, and fat's not bad for you, really. Think about it. And we think about this being pork belly. Here's the truth. So can you pull it up a little bit? We're going to see the camera there. I know it's easy to say. So anyway, the fat, if you think about in pork and lard, for example, and you look at cholesterol levels, you've got much less cholesterol in. Let's go ahead and pull that down. There you go. There's much more cholesterol in butter than there is in pig fat, in lard. So I think it's 22 grams versus 8, per serving. So you're not doing yourself any harm. And plus, get out and walk once in a while. That makes a big difference too. So we've got some interesting flavors, and the sherry's going to be good in this as well. So what are you deglazing the pan with the sherry, or how are we working this?
That could be one option. Actually, what I was going to do was I heat up the pan with the sherry, and as it bubbles and cooks a little bit of the alcohol off, I'm going to throw in some sugar and the honey and the figs and let it just kind of reduce down on itself.
Okay. We're going into the sauce production here.
We're going to start off with the sherry.
Okay. Now, be careful. There's alcohol in it. You might burn your beard off or set your eyebrows on fire if you get that too close to the flame, so keep that in consideration when you do it. Okay.
We're going to add the sugar.
Sugar. And so this is one serving, and that looks like a good quarter cup of sugar and 2-3 tablespoons of sherry.
Our figs.
Figs. Dried figs, you can get those at Hy-Vee as well. Hy-Vee or any market up in Des Moines.
And our honey.
Good tablespoon of honey. And you can buy some great local honey, some of the farms locally. And so this is going to soften up the fig a little bit since it's dried. Now you could, if you wanted to, soak the figs in some warm water prior to kind of reconstitute, as it were. But this is nice too because all of this flavor is penetrating into the fig itself. It's great. Smells fantastic. Ooh, this really smells good. It's the sweet and the pork. It's a great combination. Two very nice elements.
What I tried to incorporate also was the contrast in taste. As you were saying, the sweet along with the saltiness of the pork. Yeah. It really makes, we call it a mouthfeel, but this sensation on our taste buds.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the nice thing that we're trying to get people to analyze what it is that they're eating and think about the process. Because there's so many sensations that you have in that dinner, that 3-hour dinner you hope that somebody's going to have at some point. Really examine the flavors. It's great. And this is quick. This is so easy.
That's pretty much it. Once it starts to bubble and caramelize, it's pretty much ready for service.
You can have a tapas party at the house, do all kinds of things, and have people over, right? Sure. So a big plate is always nice to have for presentation. You know, that little extra touch. Think about the way it looks. Okay?
Okay. And we're just going to take our 2 seared pieces of pork, arrange them, add on our caramelized onions.
And again, the caramelization, the sugars have caramelized, so there's an intense flavor that go really well with the pork. Nice. You've got the glistening, very nice sheen from the pork fat. And then the final piece.
Just a little bit of the syrup we just constructed.
Oh, yeah. Great. And so you could come in with some fresh herbs as well with that, right?
I decided to go with a little bit of chives. They have that subtle yet oniony flavor to kind of accent the onions that we have.
Right. Very nice.
And there's our tapas.
And so that was very easy. It uses local ingredients. It's a great presentation, and of course you could make it, you know, a larger serving if you wanted to have it for an entree. But I think that's a nice, you know, course piece to have multiple courses, to try new things, new ideas. You know, my students are getting better than I am at these things, and I mean that's really the exciting part of this, when you see them fly with the product and make new ideas, be creative, and that's what we're trying to do here. So hopefully you'll try this at home. Very simple recipe. You can call me, send me an email too, and I'll give you the recipe in person. Tommy, thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you, Chef.
Yeah, great.